Hello there, everyone. This is Vintage Sewing Machine Garage, and I'm making my latest video for one of the machines that I've restored, and I'm actually making it from a little shop called Charlotte Mills in Mount Holly. And so you'll see this on the Charlotte Craigslist, but this machine is actually on display in this really cute sewing shop decor store, and I wanted to make the video from here. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the machine itself. What you're looking at is a Kenmore, Sears Kenmore, and it is a model 1750. And this machine is one of the really nice Kenmores from the 60s. Around 1967 is when this was made. It's in a sort of pistachio cream off-white color. And this machine this would have been sort of the middle line. If you went into Sears back in the 60s, you would have had lots of choices in machines, and you would have had, good, better, best. And back in those days, the quality of all of the machines was really equal. What really determined price was the features. And so the basic machine would have had straight stitch, which a lot of people were happy with. And then you had options such as Zigzag. Now, Zigzag had been invented by Neki for home machines in the 50s, and when Sears started going to Japan, this machine, again, was made in Japan. The Japanese copied the Italian Zigzag design, and they created some amazing machines. This machine does straight stitch, and you can see me, I can adjust my straight stitch length right here. And then, of course, I can also adjust the width, and this is for my Zigzag. And then I have, I'm going to start on straight stitch today, but you can do Zigzag with this, and I'll do some of that as well. A couple of things that distinguish this machine: it is unusually quiet. It has an oscillating class 15 bobbin and hook, which you access. I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but you're going to access it actually right here, right in front. One of the other things to mention about Kenmore's, this model in particular, if you notice, and I have to have the light on this model. The light comes on when you turn the machine on. Here I have the presser foot down on the feed dogs. When I lift up, I have pretty good clearance, over 1/4 of an inch. But then, like many Kenmores, and you'll see this, I can get almost an inch of clearance, not quite an inch. That's very unusual for any machine, and it was something that Sears was able to do with the manufacturers, because Sears had such purchase power back in the day. They could go to several manufacturers that they worked with and say, we want certain features, and they would deliver for them. This machine has seam measurements, which is unusual. By the time you get to the 60s, most of the sewing machines are putting seam guides or seam measurements into the needle plate. You also can drop feed dogs on this machine. If you like to do free motion work and little free motion embroidery, you can do that. You simply move those here. The bobbin winder sits on top of the machine. By the time we get to the 60s, the bobbin winders, which had been on sort of the right front for most of the machines sold in the United States, they'd start to move them to the top. And this was largely due to aesthetic design. It was really the only reason. You control your pressure here with this spring-loaded presser bar. And, of course, your upper tension is controlled on this knob. You have several thread guides. It's very easy to machine to thread. And then you have a hatch here. So in addition to Zigzag, you can do quite a number of decorative stitches. And I'm including... I'm going to try to remember to take a photo of these. I'm including quite a lot of cams. If you are one of those folks that likes to play with decorative stitches, maybe you sew children's wear or baby clothes. Anyway, those will be included with the machine, and they work really well. But I suspect that most of you, like most of the people who bought these machines new, basically you're going to be doing mostly straight stitch and some zigzag, and that's what most of us who sew actually use machines for. So I've been testing the machine out. I fully restored the machine. All of the systems have been gone through. And then as you can see, I've been doing some test stitching here. I've got blue thread, and I've got cargo pant material, and I've got a couple of layers, and actually I've got 2 layers plus a seam, so I'm probably working with about 6 layers right now total. So I'm going to come over here, and we'll start with straight stitch. And one of the things to mention is that by the time you get to the late 60s, the length of the stitch, the length of a straight stitch actually has grown. So the the maximum length of a straight stitch is actually longer than it would have been, say, in the 1930s. You can see I can slow down, I can speed up, and like I say, this machine it's a wonderful Japanese copy of an Italian machine. It is as quiet or quieter than the actual Italian Neckies. And then if I want to go back, I can certainly back tack. Most oscillating machines make a little bit more sound than this. It's a nice sound, but this one is, this particular model, and there was also a 752 model, along with the there was a 1752 along with the 17550, which is what this is. And they are both just remarkably quiet. Get my thread tail out of the way here. I'm going to shorten my stitch length a little bit. And you can set it permanently. I'm just going to hold it there for the time being. Now, as you can see, I can really go. If those of you who sew fast, you can do some quick sewing here. The other thing you get along with long stitch length by the 60s is you get much higher RPM. So sewing machines were moving a lot faster by the 60s than they would have been in earlier decades. So let's see here. All the sewing I've been doing is right here. And just beautiful stitches. Here's the other side. Great tension control. Kenmores are known for extra easy tension adjusting. All vintage machines are pretty easy to deal with tension, but Kenmores particularly for some reason. Now I'm going to do some zigzagging for you. Come over here to the other side. And I'll go ahead and go really wide with this zigzag. We can go more narrow, but I'll come all the way over because it'll be a little easier for you folks to see. And slowing it down so that you can hopefully see some of the needle movement there. The other thing that you'll see, and this is true of Kenmores and particularly with, again, 60s and 1970s machines, is that the zigzag is actually wider than it would be, say, on an earlier Kenmore. I'm going to shorten the stitch length again, and we'll see. Let's see if I can mimic a satin stitch here. Again, I'm just doing this by hand. I'm not going to bother to set the length permanently. I just wanted to play with this. This stitch length control is spring-loaded, so you can actually adjust it back and forth. Yeah, I was able to get a little bit of a close satin stitch look there. Come back. See if I think I'll set it with the knob this time. I was varying my my length there just a little bit. Now you guys can see the really beautiful zigzagging stitches that this machine makes. And here you can see I've been doing it at sort of different, get a little focus there. You can see me varying the length of the zigzag, but it's just beautiful and wide. And then that satin stitch, guys, I mean, that's really nice. You know, it's almost like an embroidery stitch. And they often used to talk about doing what they called were decorative stitches, and sometimes they called them embroidery stitches. This is not an embroidery machine, but if you wanted to do some playing with embroidery patterns, you can do that with this machine. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to add, I'm going to cut this in half, and so now I'm going to have four and four. I'm going to have about, this is about 16 layers when you start to get into those cargo pants seams, and then the rest of it would be about 8 layers. So let's see. I don't think we're going to have any problems. I'm using just a universal needle. Did not choose to put a jeans needle in today, but Again, any heavy fabric sewing, you should always use a jeans needle. All a jeans needle is, by the way, it has nothing to do. You don't have to be sewing jeans or denim. Jeans needle simply means that it's really for heavy, dense fabric like denim and other types of upholstery fabrics. Just makes the needle a little tougher. So now I'm going to go back to, let's go back to straight stitch. I'm going to come back to long. And as you can see, the way I'm adjusting this machine is so simple. I mean, you have stitch length and stitch width. And then again, if you want decorative stitches, you put the cams in the top. But it's really easy to adjust. It's so simple that, like I say, you don't really have a lot to study with this. So we'll go ahead and it's just going right through that fabric, you know, and it's just amazing. This machine has 1 1/4 amp motor, very, very powerful. And I'll turn back around and we'll do zigzag through all of these layers. Pull my needle up so I don't move my fabric around. And again, you can start with your needle down. I don't think I need to here because this machine is so strong, but when you start to get up into really heavy work, you'll always want to start with your needle down is a good idea. So now you can see all these stitches, and you see on this side here, particularly you'll see these new stitches I put in. And again, that's a heavy-duty machine, guys. This machine is just as strong as the Neki. When I price this machine, I'm going to be pricing it lower because it was made in Japan and not made in Italy. You know, I have another Neki coming up, I'm sure, and the Nekis have a certain magic to them. But I have to tell you that when it comes to quality, this is one of the Japanese machines that got it right. I think some of them come closer than others to being of Italian-level quality, but this one did. This was made by Maruzen. Maruzen was one of several companies that Sears used. They made a lot of Maruzen models, and some I like better than others, but this one is, whenever I see it, I always grab it and hoping that I can restore it because it's gorgeous. So again, when you see the listing, you're going to see photos. You'll see photos of some of the cams and any accessories I may have to put with the machine. I'm happy to. They're easy to find. By the way, this uses low shank feet. Some of the Kenmores will use the different size feet, but this uses low shank, so you don't have to use vintage feet. I love them. They're inexpensive, but any of the low shank feet that you get in the sewing shop should work. So if you'd like to schedule a time to see this machine, let me know. I can meet you here at Charlotte Mills, and we'll have you do some testing on the machine, or I can demonstrate it for you. And I appreciate you watching. Thanks.